3, 2, 1. Hey, welcome. This is Sig Taylor with Fish Out Loud. I'm here with Calvin and Jason from South Africa, who have made it to the Bassmaster Team Champion World Championship here in the Harris Chain in Florida. And I have a special guest on who happens to be an old friend of mine, Mr. Bobby Barrack, known as the Delta King. Snag proof. Bobby's perfect frog is the only frog that I throw. He's on there. He just got done mowing the lawn there at his place in Texas. We both come from California. He's Texas. I chose Florida to go. So with that being said, we're going to talk a little bit about something that a lot of people don't talk about, and that is trying to figure out when these bass eat and why they eat during these times. And the best analogy I could give on that is I don't eat all the time. And there's times like last night is probably one of the best examples I can give is I woke up about 1 o'clock hungrier than hungry can be. Okay. And it just happened to look outside and it was as light can be. And that means we had a full moon. We're during a full moon right now here at the end of September, 1st of October, as we're recording this. So for me, I have a difficulty time sleeping during a full moon, and there's reasons for that. And a lot of people look, I shouldn't say a lot of people, a few people look at something called prime times when they go hunting or fishing for that. And that's why I invited Bobby here today to talk to Calvin and Jason, who have this tournament coming up in December of 2023. They're going to be traveling from South Africa all the way to Orlando, Florida, where the Harris Chain is located just a little bit north. And with that being said, I'm going to, looks like Bobby's looking over his notes. I'm going to introduce Bobby Barrack. Bobby, I'd like to introduce you to Calvin and Jason. Jason, Calvin, Bobby Barrack.
How are you boys doing?
Good in yourself, Bobby.
Very well, thanks.
Good,
And you,
good.
Bobby?
Hey, what date in December is your actual tournament?
3rd to the 8th of December.
The what?
3rd to the 8th.
The actual
Okay.
tournament
The
is
6th
there's
and 7th.
the actual tournament days. The first 2 days is the 6th and the 7th of December. Okay, they have pre-fish of 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah.
So the 6th and the 7th are the first 2 days, and then you qualify for the last day, which is the 8th?
Correct.
Okay.
I'm speaking confidently as if we will make it, not as if we will make it.
Right.
We're speaking like we will be there on the last 2 days of the tournament.
So the first thing, this is the thing that the major obstacle that you kids are up against right here is you're not going to spend any time on this fishery before you get to fish on the 3rd.
Correct.
Yes.
So the 3, the 4, the 5 are the pre-fish days. First day of the tournament is 6, 7, and 8. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is what you guys need. This is what you guys need. Number one, what are your strengths? What do you do? What do you do best? What does Calvin and Jason do? If it's 1:30 in the afternoon and you're on your favorite, you're on a lake that you're comfortable with, it's 1:30 in the afternoon, things aren't going well for you, and you've got an hour and a half left. You got to be trolling motor up and doing 65 miles an hour at 3:01 to make it back to the weigh-in at 3:15. So you've got an hour and a half left. You got 1 fish in live well. You need 4 fish. What are your strengths? What do you do?
Time of year?
We're probably going to be time of the year power fishing, burning the
Summertime.
net.
Power fishing.
Yeah, we have the trolling motor on 80%, high gear ratio reels, and just motor.
Moving baits, topwater frogs like your horny toads,
chatterbaits, slipless, just move.
Okay, so that's you guys are reaction guys for the most part. Power fishermen, you're not so much The finesse type.
We
That's
do
correct, right?
in our winters have to slow down.
Yeah.
It's by virtue that we will have to finesse things down. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Okay.
say one of our strengths. One of my favorite technique is a drop shot. So 6, 8, 10 pound line, 15 pound leader. Jason loves to slow it down, 8 pound, 10 pound weightless Sanko, 4-inch, 5-inch Sanko. So we do limit ourselves to just power fishing. Jay and I work really well.
Okay, all that's great. So here's the deal. The bite during your tournament is going to be 40 to 50% better than it's going to be during your pre-fish times. So you guys are going to spend a lot of time with your gold pan going like this. On the third, you're going to be going like this with the gold pan. Nothing. And then on the fourth, you're going to go, oh, here's a few flakes, but those are fake. Here's a few flakes, but they're fake. On the fifth, oh, here's a few flakes. That might be a little gold speck right there. On the sixth, oh, wow. Hey, now we got a couple of little gold flakes here. On the seventh, oh, man, hey, we're on to something here. On the eighth, and it's just going to get better. You see what I'm saying?
Fantastic.
That's how. So you guys on the third, the fourth, and the fifth, I almost want to tell you, don't take a fishing pole with you, because you could possibly go on the bank and hit a bank, take your trolling motor, go down the bank from 7 to 9 o'clock, never get bit. It's lily pads. Your boat's sitting in 8 feet of water. You guys are fishing in 2.5 feet of water. Never get a bite. And next thing you know, you're an hour down the lake. You've locked through to another pond or whatever it is. And the guy wins the tournament on that bank. He caught 2 fish in practice. He's fishing with an open mind, but he had a great afternoon. On the last day, he made it in. He was one of the last boats to qualify. It's so misleading, because that guy was one of the last boats to qualify, but he put it together late in the afternoon because he had an open mind and he wasn't going on what he thought he figured out 3 days ago. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I'm making any sense. Stay with me here. Eventually, this will all start to fall into place.
Fish the conditions, yes.
You have to fish the conditions, but the number one condition that you start with is the moon phase. You cannot catch them on a chatterbait if they ain't got their track shoes on. You can't. You can't catch them with a 1.5. You can't catch them with a 2.0. That's why you will see overall, day in and day out, the guy that's got the drop. Man, I'm so sick and tired of fishing tournaments where first place is a drop shot. Second place is a Senko. Third place is a Senko. Fifth place is a guy, he caught a couple. He had a great last day of the tournament, and he had 22 pounds on a Zara spook. Wow, awesome. That's my new hero. Something that I don't have to throw something that goes to the bottom. We get to go bass fishing. This is, I guess what I bounce all over the place. So again, stay with me. The first 3 days of practice, I guess this is the other thing. This is one of the philosophies that I had towards the end of when I knew I was going to be leaving the Delta. The last 2 years I was getting ready to leave. I knew I was going to be out of there in 2018. In 2015 and a half, almost 2016, November, actually, of 2016, I knew that I was going to be gone. My days are numbered here. So and I knew this, what I need to do is take everything that's fun out of my boat. Take everything that's fun to do, everything we love to do, take it out of the boat. Put a jig, put a drop shot, and put a Senko on that deck. All my fun stuff is in the rod locker. I ain't leaving it in the garage. I got my frog, I got my chatterbait, and I got my swim jig will be on the deck too. I got to have one moving bait. Precisely. If the wind's blowing over 10, it's a chatterbait. If the wind's blowing under 10, it's a swim jig. And I'm going to play, everything's going to play off of what I got here on my deck. This, on my deck, I can be competitive 30 days out of 30 days in the month.
Yes.
If this tournament happens to fall on high salooner period days, I'm going to take all this stuff, put it in the box, and I'm pulling the fun stuff out. But it's like, man, when I'm fishing a tournament, they never fall on the moon phases that I want. They have. I've won 113 tournaments in my career. And a lot of those were on negative moons, bad moons. I caught them finesse fishing, 4-pound tests, 6-pound tests. I caught them with 120-pound test. Caught them on topwater, caught them on worms this big, caught them on crappie jig. I've won tournaments with crappie jig because I had to.
Yeah.
Because they were on horrible moon phases like what you have your first day of practice. I know that. I can look at this and I can go in and I would spend day 1 and day 2 just doing the eyeball test. What am I looking for?
Yeah.
I'm going to start with deep next to shallow. Deep next to shallow. And you got to understand this time of the year, especially December, it's the other thing you have going for you. You got to understand bass. 4 seasons: winter, summer, fall, spring. You guys got the fall transition that will be behind you. Yay. So you don't have, when you're in Florida in December, you've already got September, October, and November behind you, which is great. Because these fish are fixing to go through a major adjustment right now. That's why I loved fishing tournaments in September, October, and November, because it becomes a mental thing. Who can stay with it up here and have the capabilities and the mechanical abilities to do this? This is a huge mental thing, but you guys are going to be past a lot of that, where the bass are going to have to start getting used to the days getting shorter. The water temperature is going to be cooler in the mornings. It's going to warm up during the day as the sun's lower on the horizon. It's not going to warm up like it does in the spring and the summer. You got a lot of changes that most guys don't pay any attention to. So you've got a lot of things working against you. Number 1, the moon phase. Number 2, it's that seasonal transition thing. But because you're in Florida, you should be beyond that. So where I'm kind of going with that is your best bite will almost always, because bass are what they are, it's who they are as a species, your bite will almost always be best in the late afternoon, mid to late afternoon. Especially this time of year, just like in the springtime. So that's kind of where, that's the foundation, that's the cornerstone of kind of what we're talking about. So we've got a hopefully a post-transition time where these fish are starting to work. They're getting into their somewhat winter season, even though it's kind of a goofy kind of a thing in Florida, because it is a winter thing, even though the water temperature is still going to probably be in the mid 70s, upper 70s. And then they're going to get into their pre-spawn thing in late December and January. So they will have already made their adjustments to the longer nights, shorter days. But that being said, that afternoon thing is still really, really super duper key. But let's look at let's look at this here. This is a lot of stuff, and we're trying to cram all this into 45 minutes. Moon phase, I can talk to you guys about moon phase for 8 hours a day for 2 weeks, have a class, take notes, all that, and we're only halfway through it. And we're going to try and cover all this in 45 minutes? Impossible. So we're just going to try and give, just a little bit of get an idea of what's kind of sort of going on here. So November 27th is going to be the full moon. Okay. Your full moons are almost 30 days apart, right? We're almost at full moon right now. Today is actually the full moon. Today is the 29th. Right? September 29, we got a full moon. So you know that your full moons are going to be at the end of each month. So if I know that, I know you kids are in South Africa. It's not like you can run to the Harris chain, blah, blah, blah. I do all of my pre-fishing on 2-week cycles. The worst thing that you can do in bass fishing, because everything for the most part, bass fishing is above the shoulders. The worst thing that you can do is go pre-fish the week before your tournament. You want to pre-fish 2 weeks before your tournament, because now you're going to have you know what? We didn't catch any fish in the morning. We didn't get our first bite till 10 o'clock. We did really, and then we got our first bite at 10 o'clock. And then, man, from 11:30 to 12:15, we caught that 4-pounder. We had a 5 and we had a big one chase. And then we never saw a fish over 3.5 pounds after that. We never saw a fish over 3.5 pounds before that. There was something special about that window right there 2 weeks ago. So I am going to play on that. That's great head food for me. And I'm going to look at the way that I understand moons and everything. I'm going to look. Okay, so I pre-fished these 2 days. My tournament is in 2 weeks. I'm taking very specific notes. Slow morning, first bite at this time, that time. I did see some shad activity. I didn't see any shad activity. I saw some bluegill active in the afternoon. The rain we had a cold front come in. We didn't have a cold front come in. The water was extremely clear. I got all those variables that I need to know in and I need to have in my note. This is what they were in. My boat was sitting in this. Most of the bites that I got, and I'm dealing with, I got to have fish over 2 3/4 pounds. Anything under that, I'm not even going to pretty much acknowledge because I'm chasing the wrong fish. I really, Harris chain of legs, big fish fishery. You need to be chasing that 375, the 3 3/4 pound bass. If you start catching the 3 and 3, if you've caught, there's a 13 incher, there's a 14 incher, there's a 12.5 incher, there's 2 14 inchers on my chat. These are the wrong fish, man. Man, I got to be real careful how I say this. Next week, we need to come back through this stuff where we're catching these small fish. That's why you don't pre-fish the week before, because these fish can change by 2 or 3. They can multiply their size by 2 times, 3 times. Small fish love to be where them better fish are. But when dad's in the house, the kids don't run in and out of the refrigerator. But when dad's off doing something else, because we know that dad's feeding in the evenings, we know dad's feeding at 1 to 3 a.m., the kids are in and out of the fridge. But for whatever reason, dad starts to get friskier on Monday around 6 o'clock. And they know that 6 o'clock on Monday, around 7 o'clock on Tuesday, 8 o'clock, each day it's going to advance about an hour. Dad's activity, higher activity level. And again, I know that this is a lot of coming at you here, but if we start seeing some 3, especially anything over 3 1/4 pounds, a legitimate. I'm not talking about a 288. I'm not talking about a 292. I'm talking about a 324, 327, a 336, a 345. Big difference between a 335 and a 272. Big difference. Very seldom do you catch those two in the same kind of deal. Very seldom. But when I'm in Florida, when I'm in California, when I'm in big fish waters, if I catch a 385, I can catch a 722 on my next cast because those guys eat the same stuff. Very important. I am locked into the 3 3/4 pound bass. Once a bass gets to 3 3/4, 4 pounds, menu's open. He can eat anything in this place that he wants to for the most part. His mouth, when he gets to the 3 3/4, 4 pound range, he can eat a 6-inch threadfin. He can eat a 7-inch, 8-inch gizzard shad. He can eat 2 bluegill almost the size of your hand. Menu opens up big time. A 278 can't do that. So he's very restricted with activity levels, the forage he's including. Anyway, we won't go down that road. So I'm sure that you kids have done some homework on the Harris chain, only dealing with September. And if I were you, I would be to dive deep into your research. You start looking at that tournament was won with what? Bottom bumping stuff. That tournament was won with what? You like doing chatterbaits? Chatterbaits in September. Okay, a 1.5 and a rattle trap in September. What day? Let me research the moon phase on that. What moon phase was that tournament won on? And you can watch this guy's weights climb. If you want to know facts, if you want to study this to where you go, oh my gosh, It's right here. I just have to dig. That's the kind of homework you need to be doing. And then, so let me get back to this. So your full moon is on November 27th. Your new moon is on December 12th. Your tournament, I'm telling you what, you guys, and this, I would be, just let me survive the qualification round, because I'm going to drop the hammer on you guys on the 8th. Let me make it to the 8th. You guys are in trouble, because you're going to watch me because of what I believe and because what I'm going to be doing. These fish for you guys, I think, just looking at this and understanding bass, their moods and all that, you guys say your reaction guys. I don't want to. You guys are reaction guys. This is a winner take all thing. Live and die by the sword. That's what you guys are going to probably go do. And if I'm looking at this right here, what you guys do, you're going to struggle with. On the 3rd, the 4th, and on the 5th, you might just start seeing some of these fish run your reaction program. On the 6th, they're going to get a little better. On the 7th, man, things are moving right. On the 8th, dude, that was one of the best days we've ever had. Because the activity levels during high activity, high salooner levels at 5 p.m. don't do you no good. When your high activity levels are between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m., you're host. If you're a chatterbait guy, you guys go back. Just do your own research on you. The worst tournaments that you guys ever had, your chatterbait guys, your reaction guys. Last weekend when we were here, we crushed them. Can't wait to fish this tournament this weekend. By 10, 11, 12 o'clock, you got one fish in a live well and both you guys are drop shot. What happened? Our fish shut off. The water got dirty. Then you pull out your excuse book. Let's see, excuse number 20. No, it's because you don't understand what's going on. You don't get the big picture. You don't understand bass. You don't understand moon phases. But when you start to put this kind of stuff together, now you become extremely dangerous. Everybody's got all the same rods. Everybody's got graphite rods. Everybody's got a boat that does 72. Everybody's got electronics that you can look at stuff out in front of you. Everybody's got all that stuff. The above the shoulders is what's next. That's what separates Tom Brady from every other clown that's ever played the position. Up here. That's it. In bass fishing, before guys could get last minute information, I'm talking about the day before the tournament started, it's whoever got the best information leading up to the event. That's who was, and if he had any kind of talent, knew which end of the fishing pole to hold, that guy was going to be extremely dangerous. Those days are over. You can't do that anymore. So now it becomes even more of a mental thing. And the mental, I'm telling you guys, you remember we had this conversation, because on the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th, you guys are going to be like, man, we're a long ways from home and this bite sucks. It's going to get better. That's where you guys need to stay with it right here and have confidence in you. Know who you are. We know what we're looking for. And then hopefully on the 4th or the 5th, you get a couple of bites. Next to some reeds over here, next to some eelgrass, got to have current. Currents always, yay, always. Whenever you can have, whether it's wind current, man-made current, rain current, tributary current, whatever. Current's always a great thing in a lake situation. So, and I'm, you guys might be in some kind of a pre-spawn type of a situation, possibly. That's where your frog's going to come into play, because you guys, now it becomes a boat positioning thing, a stealth thing, maybe a push pole, fishing where most guys aren't going to be fishing. A 3-pound bass is a 3-pound bass only about, I don't even think a 3-pound bass is 4 inches tall. So he's fine in 9, 10 inches of water. It's fine. It's great. I don't know if you guys fit in September. So your December, if I'm going to equate that to Texas, your December is going to be my November, late October, November. We're a month behind you guys.
No,
And
we-
I'm
we've
going
got
to be
120
fishing,
degrees.
huh?
We've got 120, 125 in December here in South Africa.
125, 125 what?
Degrees Fahrenheit in summer here in December. December's our peak summertime.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. But I'm kind of talking the difference between Florida and Texas is about, maybe it's 3 weeks, maybe it's a month. As far as the phase that the fish are in, pre-spawn, post-spawn, that kind of stuff. Pre-spawn, which I think you guys might be right on the doorstep of some pre-spawn stuff. Regardless, I'm going to be fishing as shallow as I can possibly fish. As shallow as I can possibly fish. And with overhead roofs, I got to have some kind of roof, whether it's overhanging tree limbs, willow trees, pencil reeds. You're going to have some vegetation die back. You just are. So you're going to have some dead vegetation that will be floating. If I've got dead vegetation that's floating, then if it's so shallow up in there, I'm going to have to cast to it. That's where my frog comes into play. But if that dead vegetation that creates a roof, I'm in this bay, and I've got some offshore canopies of live vegetation that is holding floating dead vegetation in its place. And we really want to get this. If you guys end up being in some sort of a pre-spawn type of a thing, then you want to break this down. If you notice that, hey, you know what? Some of these fish have got some pretty chunky bellies on them. I wonder if these fish are getting ready to spawn. So now you're going to want to start focusing on that northwest corner of these pockets and coves. Sun comes up in the east, gets maximum light penetration. That water warms up. Now you're looking at it through pre-spawn eyeball. Not saying that's going to happen, but I would have that in the back of my head because you are going to be in Florida. If you're going to be in Ohio, Minnesota, California, that doesn't even come into play. You're in Florida. So I'm just saying that's a nugget right there. If you notice that, hey, some of these fish got some fat bellies, and we're catching them in eelgrass. My boat's got to be sitting in 8 feet of water. My boat's got to be sitting in 4 feet of water. My boat's got to be sitting in 11 feet of water. My boat's got to be sitting in 3.4 feet of water. I don't care. Whatever the part of the recipe is, if you notice that those fit, and I got to have a sand bottom, gravel bottom, whatever, I got to have some dingy water. Maybe there's some tributaries coming down. We're supposed to have some rain in the afternoon, whatever. All these little pieces of the puzzle that you get put together. I'm just saying, if some of these got some pudgy little bellies and you think, man, these jokers get ready to spawn, then I'm going to be focusing on staging places in the northwest corners of these pockets, coves, ponds, tributary, whatever it is. And all of those fish that are going to go to the bank and spawn, they're going to go spawn over there in 3 weeks, a month, whatever it may be. They're not going to be up there in 18 inches of water all day long. Where are they going to? They're going to be staging in that offshore floating vegetation with the live stuff that's out there that's holding that dead floating debris in place. And you're going to frog it before you get to it. And if it's a big enough patch and I got enough water under it, I'm going to let the wind, or we're going to push pull over to it, let the boat sit, my floating dock. I'm going to let it sit up against it, and I'm going to punch this stuff. And if I start punching these fish out of these patches, these mats, you guys are in so much trouble as this tournament goes on. Lot of trouble. If I can get my hands on them,
We'll have
you
a good
guys
punch.
are, and So I got these patches offshore. I'm going to punch these things. Oh no, the wind's blowing 14, 16. We'll just chatterbait them on the outside edge because you've got a more positive salooner type of a thing working in your favor now. As that tournament grows, as the tournament gets closer to the finish line, you should really start to stretch out your lead as you put this thing together. There's going to be so many guys that after the set, because they don't know and understand Moon, there's going to be so many guys after the second day of practice that wish they wouldn't have came. Oh, we should have had this. Why did they have this tournament here? Why didn't they? All the excuses are going to start. That cannot be you.
Won't be.
Right here. Anyway, you guys got any questions?
Bobby, that's some great information. Jason, Calvin, jump in here. Ask Bobby any questions that you have. First thing that comes to thought for me personally is 2 weeks before the tournament, I can't go. So, Bobby, I can go 4 weeks before that tournament, which is still okay. Correct, Bobby?
Absolutely. You get you start 4 weeks is 4 weeks is even better because you're on the exact moon phase.
Yes.
And then the full moon and the new moon are very, very similar with their activity levels. And are the boys back?
Yes, they're here.
Yeah.
I don't see them.
They're here.
Okay. Oh, there they are. So kind of just a quick little synopsis. I don't do anything quick, but a quick little synopsis of how it works for me. So December 12th is the new moon. So if I had a tournament on the 10th, 11th, or 12th, I would watch. Let me put it to you this way. Let's say that your tournament is on the 12th. Be careful here. I don't want to confuse you. Your tournament is on the 12th. You guys come up and you pre-fish the 6, 7, and 8. You pre-fish the 6, 7, 8, and 9. The 6, 7, and 8, you guys think you're going to win this thing because you're chatterbait people. On the 9th, he's throwing a chatterbait. He's throwing an LV 500, snapping it off the bottom. Sig used to do that a lot. We all used to do that a lot when the water was cooler. Staging fish, triggering them, that kind of thing.
Not a lipless crankbait.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. But the moral of the story here is they're eating movement. But as you get closer to the 12, they take their track shoes off during daylight hours. So now it becomes a Cinco thing. The fish are going to be in pretty much the same locations, but they ain't going to chase it. But where you chatterbaited them and you go down through there because you found them on the 6th, the 7th, and the 8th, and you know that, dude, and they're not biting. Let's just stay with it. Let's just stay with it. Next thing you know, it's 2 o'clock. Man, dang it. They just never turned on for us. If you would have went through that same stuff, slowed it down. It's hard. This is the hardest part of this whole thing. To ignore what you did and recreate it again with what you have to now do. So I got their address and I want them to come out the front. I want them to come out the front yard and eat it. I want them to come out the front door and eat it in the front yard because they were doing that the 6th and the 7th. The 8th, they stopped doing it a little bit as much as they did on the 6th and the 7th. Maybe it was the weather. Maybe it was what. Now on the 9th, it's that we threw our chatterbaits all day long. Okay, so on the 6th, we had 5 for 20. On the 7th, we had 5 for 20. On the 8th, we had 5 for 18 and a half. On the 9th, we had 5 for 13. On the 10th, we had 5 for 8 and a half. And that's because we finally put our stuff down at 1:30 and picked up a jig, and he caught a 4-pounder. Otherwise, we'd have nothing. So that's how that works. As you get closer to that moon, you're going to start to, but you guys don't have that. So, but you will in the future. So that's how you're going to play. A lot of guys will roll. They found the fish, but and this is the crazy part about bass fishing. This is what's never made any sense to me. If guys have a tournament this Saturday, why do they go last Saturday to figure out what the fish are doing so that they can catch them this Saturday? That's 6 days ago. You're going to try to catch the fish next Saturday that you found last Saturday? To me, you might as well stay home and do honeydews. You might as well take the kids to Disneyland. When you put your boat in the water this Saturday, thinking that you're going to catch them how you caught them last Saturday, you've already lost. Good fishermen will realize that by 8 o'clock, they stop doing what I did last Saturday, and I've made the adjustments. I'm a good enough fisherman. Confidence in myself above shoulders here. I'm going to make some adjustments. Somebody's trying to call. Rid of this. You're going to make the adjustments. You're going to salvage it, maybe even win, because you understand. You've seen this before. I've watched this happen. So, but your guys' deal, looking at you guys, I personally am like what you guys. I like throwing moving baits. I like the LV. I like the 1.5. I like the 2.0. I like buzz baits. I like Zara spooks. I like wood chop. Well, it used to be wood choppers. Now, whopper ploppers, all frogs, anything that cast. That's fun bass fishing. That's what bass fishing is, as far as I'm concerned. But your tournament days, here's the deal. 14 days out of, 12 to 14 days out of the month, you can win with reaction baits. 16 to 18 days out of the month, you absolutely can. So if your tournament fall, that's why Kevin Van Dam doesn't win everything with the jerkbait, because he can't. It's impossible. It's Mother Nature. When that guy used to excel, he didn't do moon phases. He didn't understand all that stuff, but he had so much confidence, and he was so good at it, and he had the best up to the minute, last minute location. His guides that he had out on the lake that he was going to next before off limits gave him the waypoints of the key stuff. So in practice, Kevin was eliminating the spots that you guys are trying to accumulate. He's eliminating. He's not looking for a 3-pounder. He's eliminating 3-pounders. That's a whole different level of playing the game. They can't do that anymore because of what he was doing and because of what Roland Martin was doing. They've leveled the playing field now, which is great for guys like you coming from out of country, out of state. It makes things a whole lot more fair. But understanding bass, like we talked about earlier, understanding bass, their habits, their characteristics, them as a species, how they're affected. Spring, summer, fall, winter, pre-spawn, transition months. Having a general knowledge of a bass's characteristics helps a lot, because, and when I say helps a lot, all of that is for above the shoulder. I've won this is why I love this right here. I kind of made my name with the frog on the Delta, and in the fall, October to first week of December. Because if there was a boat for first place in the fall on the Delta, I'm going to get the bites. You have to beat me. Everybody knew that leading up to it. You got to beat me, because I've already won here. Now I just need to go do it that weekend. And I'm going to do it with supreme discipline and understanding bass, that my best part of the day is going to be late. A lot of these tournaments that I won, the 11 boats that I won, I think I won 9 of them in the fall. I think I only won 2 in the spring. But with those at 1:30 in the, I can think of 3 of them right now. At 1:30 in the afternoon, I had 2 fish in the live well. It's okay. I'm still going to win because I understand bass right here. And I understand that my key salooner periods, I only got these 2 bass that I got 2 in there for 6.5 pounds during my best salooner window. Man, because I dropped the 5 pound, I dropped a 7. Dang! But I know that I've got another window that's going, another minor that's going to be opening up somewhere between 1:30 and 3 o'clock. I have to weigh in at 3:30. It takes me 17 minutes to get back. I've still got plenty of time to win this thing. That's how you can start to use this as supreme head food. If you can win here before it starts, that puts you. Everybody else is starting back there at the starting line. You're already at the first corner. If you can win here before the clock ever starts ticking, oh man, are you dangerous. And then as you start to put this thing together, there's going to be so many. This is why in today's bass fishing world, you watch challenge match fishing, you watch all this kind of stuff. This guy's fishing. Here, it's all right there, but everybody's looking at what color worm he's throwing. None of that crap, it matters sometimes. That's not the important stuff. This guy, Ott Defoe, is leading the tournament. He's thrown a rip bait on docks. He's caught 13 bass, and he's got 16 pounds. Aaron Martins is in last place. I'm going to use Aaron. I mean, he's one of my good friends. Anyway, but he just popped into my head. Aaron is in last place. There's 10 guys in this thing. It's 9 o'clock. He's still in last place. It's 10 o'clock. He's still in last place. But because of what time of the year it is, I know he's going to win this thing because his stuff is going to dissolve. He's chasing fool's gold now. He's chasing crummy little fish, but he feels real good about himself because he's got this lead. But it's fake. It's fool's gold. It's a false lead. Between 11 and 12 o'clock, Aaron makes this jump. Now he's in 5th place. He's caught 3. This guy's still stuck at 18 pounds. Aaron's got 3 fish for 11. Now he's got 6 for 23. And because he didn't panic. He understands bass. He needs the water to warm up. He's going to get shallower. He's going to fish shallower and shallower and shallower. With supreme discipline, you guys should not, at your level, you should not have to get a bunch of bites to feel good about yourself. Just give me the right, when I get bit, make sure that they're the right bites. That's it. Yeah, right? I mean, I always had the idea, give me 5 to 7 bites. I'm going to screw 2 of them up. Just the way it works. Give me 5 to 7 bites. Sometimes there's one in particular that I'm thinking of right now. It just popped in my head. It was a spring tournament. I knew it was all my pre-fish was on positive moons. The day of the tournament, we had 50-mile-an-hour winds. The first day of the tournament, they canceled the first day of the tournament. Now this winner take all has moved to a 1-day tournament for a boat. Just like I said in the beginning, I took all the fun stuff off the deck. I had a Cinco and a jig. That's it. To protect me from me. If I got a frog on this deck and I get one to swirl or roll on it, I'm going to die with that frog. This is a 1-day thing. Fish smart here. Let's be smart about this. I was 5 days on the backside of a full moon. You're not going to catch them on reaction, dude. It's not going to happen. These fish are done chasing. They spawned 4 or 5 days ago, 6 days ago. Now, Big Mama, she's in a recovery room, all that kind of stuff. Do not try to catch these fish on reaction. Everything I did went to the bottom. I got 5 fish that day. I had 26.5 pounds, and I lost a big one. I should have culled out a 4-pounder with a whatever, and I win the boat. Caught 5. Got 6 bites, got 5 of them. 26.5 and take the boat home. Anyway, lots of stories like that. But the whole bottom line of all that is keeping it together right here, staying with it right here. And I keep emphasizing that because if you kids can just spend your, yeah, you want to fish, you're going to want to cast and do some fishing on the third, if you can minimize your fishing and you're looking, you're taking notes. This is the type of hydrilla. Oh my gosh, I need some hydrilla. Okay, something happened where we have some current in this place. I need some hydrilla that's got some current on the edges of it. Where is it? We should have found it in practice. I need some isolated patches of hydrilla out off the bank in spawning coast for them to stage in. Where's that stuff at? I need to know where the stuff is. I need pencil reeds with some eelgrass out front next to some hydrilla. Oh, with a sandy bottom on the outside with a little bit of current flow. Our bite is just going to get better. But you just need, I'm talking about on the 6th. So do the weights get zeroed going into the last day of this thing?
It's the last 2 days. It's the 8th and 9th, but yes, the weights get zeroed. 8th and 9th.
So
the 4-day turn.
Everybody
What's
fishes.
that?
Everybody fishes the 6th and the 7th.
Yep.
And then what happens after the 7th?
Top 6 boats, which have 2 people on each boat. So top 12 anglers go through to the final 2 days. Call it Championship Saturday, Championship Sunday.
Okay.
Weights get zeroed.
Okay. Weights get zeroed, and so this is a team tournament, Bobby. A team tournament on the 6th and the 7th. After the 7th, the top 6 boaters and the top 6 co-anglers get together, right?
Yeah.
And they fish against each other. It's game on. The guy in the back, the guy in the front, they're fighting it out.
Winner goes through to Bassmaster Elite Final after those last 2.
Okay.
Bassmaster, if I can say it with an American accent. Bassmaster Elite.
There you go. So you're going to you qualify as a team, and then the team gets split up. There's going to be 6 teams that make 12 anglers.
Correct.
Okay. And who do you get to run the boat for half the day, and he gets to run the boat for half the day?
No, we're fishing as a team. So.
Oh, you're still fishing as a team.
Yeah. It's us versus everyone else. We're not separate on the boat at all. It's Jason and myself together against other teams.
Okay,
when
perfect. That's
the 7th day, we're still gonna continue fishing as a team.
No. 7th and 8th and 9th,
but
you go on a boat by yourself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, your boat by yourself.
Okay. On the 8th and the 9th, 12 guys, 12 boats.
Yeah.
Correct.
Oh,
12 boats.
Yes.
Everyone versus everyone, basically. Winner takes all. Bassmaster Elite Final.
Okay. Winner takes it. So okay, I get it. So you two could be fishing bumper to bumper, bumping each other.
On the last 2 days, yeah.
Yeah.
okay. So here's the beauty of that. Like I said, you guys are going to get stronger as this goes. And and I know Seed can say this too. I can say this, and I know a lot of elite guys, FLW, MLL. I know all of them. And I've had this conversation with many of them. Yeah, everything I did in practice fell apart. I didn't come across anything in practice. They won the tournament. My practice was horrible. How many times has this happened? Practice was horrible. I only caught 2 fish in practice. I only had 3 keepers in practice, but it just started to click and started to come together during the tournament. And the reason that is because you understand that going in. These are guys that they're just really good at what they do and didn't have a lot of knowledge about moon phases, but they have fished enough to recognize that what goes up must come down. What is down must go up as far as activity levels during fishing hours. And I always fish. My fishing hours are 6 to 3, 7 to 4. I don't deal with moon phases after 4 o'clock. I don't deal with moon phases before 7 a.m. for the most part. I'm dealing with tournament hours, because all that other stuff I can't. I have no control. I don't have any control over this other stuff either. But I will, going back to the way that I would always especially attack this time of the.
Oh, no.
Bobby, you there? Bobby, you froze
Water.
up on us. Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead. Go ahead. You're back. Bobby's back.
My specialty, what I did was on a body of water where the water went up and down. Every 6 hours it changed. It's always moving. Every minute it's different. Every half hour it's different. Every 6 hours it's a change. So it was real. It was just real important for me to understand. Just understand those windows, those key windows. And mine was a water height thing, a water level thing. But when you saw that happen in front of your eye, you're waiting for that water to get, as soon as that water covers that rock right there, this bite's going to start to happen. Or as soon as that water drops to where I can see that rock right there, or that stump, or that stick, this bite's going to start to happen. Mine, it was water level, but it was the moon that was doing all of this. But I had some visual aids that I would use that helped me keep it together here. I need these things to happen. And then you literally watch the activity level. You'd start to see shad pop. Oh, you heard a bass eat a bluegill back under that tree over there. 2 lily, the grass moved. Oh, somebody ate something off that. You watched the elevation of activity. And I always, it was a visual thing for me. If I'm fishing next to a cement wall, there's the graffiti that's on that cement wall. As soon as that water got to where the O is, that's usually when they started biting good for me. That's the kind of stuff I used to pay attention to. And then as the water was covered the graffiti, once it got down to about where the bottom of that O is, that's when they would, I just got bit. Dude, I just got bit too. It's that kind of thing. But it was the moon that was doing all of this. Yeah. And when you have over 7,500 days on that particular body of water, and you go into it with looking at this going, this is going to be a tough day, so I probably need to. I'm going to still throw my spinner baits and all that kind of, I know it's, and then I pick up my jig. I pick up the stuff that goes to the bottom. Dunk, tick, moves off. And a lot of times that's going to be stuff where it's not going to be the dunk. It's not going to be none of that. It's going to be the lift, pressure, swing. Oh my gosh, look at this thing. Even the bites are subtle. Everything's just toned down.
Mr. Barrack,
4 days before the full moon, you throw that half-ounce jig over there. They're going to spawn right over here, 82 yards from this straightaway into that little half moon cove right here. And I'm going pop, pop, pop between 10 and 11, 15. Pop, 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 pop. My line goes slack line. Oh my gosh. That wasn't available 7, 8, 9 o'clock. But from that window to that window right there, because that moon was just getting ready to pop up over the horizon. Then you start to see all this stuff. Where's that moon? What time's the moon rise today? I don't know. I know it's gonna be soon. Dunk. Oh yeah, it's coming. And then it's, oh my gosh, that was awesome. Throwing a frog and lily pads, chatterbaits, snapping an LV off the bottoms, pop, 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 pop. You're watching that slack and it goes, dong, oh. And you do that for 45, 52 minutes. And the next thing you know, you see that moon pop up and it's crickets. And you'd be like, dude, we got to go through that one more time. Okay. Nothing. What in the world happened here?
They're still there. Hey, Jason, Calvin, you have any questions for Bobby?
Yeah, please. If there was,
you're probably going to tell me there's more than one time of the month. If you were to say there's a day or two window within the month that the bite is the best, is that 10 days after full moon? Is it 2 days after full moon? Is it 2 days before the new moon? Is that, and then with those days, how does weather patterns affect it? So say you 2 days before the new moon and you got a big storm rolling in on the new moon day. I mean, obviously barometric pressure is going to drop. You're going to be dealing with high winds, maybe less UV, less of an UV index. So sun's not as potent. There's more clouds in the sky. Which day and which ideal conditions would you say are the best times of a
I mean, oh my gosh. I mean, it would take us 22 days to answer that question, to answer it properly, to answer it correctly, and to go through the different scenarios.
Yeah.
The only thing that trumps, and you got to be careful with how you say this. The only thing that trumps the moon, this is just my thinking, this is me. The only thing that trumps the moon is weather. And that could be a good trump card or it could be a bad trump card. So, the absolute, so, and that's a tough question, because it becomes who are you? What are you going to do? You might be sick. Let's just use February.
Say, when are the bass most active in a month? If
Well,
look at the calendar date.
That is such a tough question.
Yeah, it's okay. So let me Bobby's thinking here. Let me just tell you what I discovered living down here now. And our tides are different than the tides I'm used to on the West Coast. But July, okay, new moon is out. I call my buddy up, let's get out there. It's calm weather. Okay, so we could get out into the bay. And I see two 18-year-olds sleeping on a bridge piling. And we pulled up to him. Hey, what's going on? I start talking to him. He goes, we're just waiting.
Till 11:30.
I go, what are you guys waiting for? We're waiting for the jacks and the bull reds to start eating the bait. And we probably sat there hour and 15 minutes with them. And all of a sudden the water just lit up. And the two boats, we raced over there. We had hookups, every cast. So I said, I marked the day. I did the thing in August, okay, at my bridge here, because I was at another bay, and we lit them up. I lit them up for 3 days in a row. And then on that fourth day, where'd they go?
Yep.
Where'd they go?
There it is.
They're here. I even caught a tarpon on a lipless crankbait.
Put a little shrimp on and fish the same area.
Yeah, exactly. Put a little shrimp on. So and guess what? It's coming up here again. And what I found, Bobby, is during those new moon days here where I'm at, the wind goes away. It's calm.
Yep.
The moment that new moon's over with, that wind comes right back up, and I can't get out there because I get blown off.
Okay, so he's talking about what's the best days here. You got 12 months, you got 365 days a year. What are the best days to go fishing? Look, I've caught a big whole bunch of them over 10 pounds. So me personally, I don't want to go fishing. Oh man, this is tough. I want to maximize my chances at fish over 10 pounds. So I'm going to go when everybody else is going to call and say, you know what, let's wait till this goes through. And then because whenever you have super intense, high volume, high intensity storms, it's almost always in and around the new or the full moons. I'm not saying go kill yourself, but when you have weather like that, those big jokers bite. They bite. I've had some of my most incredible days on days that I would traditionally, on the day before, 2 days before, day of the full moon, I'm fishing deep early in the morning with a jig, or bumping the bottom with a deep diving crankbait first thing in the morning. And then I'm going to work shallower as the day progresses. but I'm probably going to stick with stuff that goes to the bottom. If you're on a place like Falcon Lake in Texas, if you're on a place like Okeechobee, or you're on a big fish body of water, that's how you're going to put together your 25-pound stringer. Chances of you catching a 25-pound stringer on a chatterbait on that day are almost zero. You're going to have that hour during the day where everything goes crazy, and you're going to have a 4.5 and a 5 1/4, and you're going to have nothing to go with it. You got to have 5. I'm not saying you can't catch fish on reaction during those moon phases, but the trick of this thing is to catch 5 of them, high quality bass. And if you do that chatterbait thing, what happened to you guys? You only had 2. Yeah, we had 2 for 9 because we were trying to bury you guys. Yeah, well, it was the day of the full moon. It was the day of the new moon. And I bet you caught both of them things in 13 minutes. And very little before that, and very little after that, if anything.
If you had your top baits, given the moon phase that we'll be fishing the tournament on, if you had to pick your top 3 baits, given the moon phase and the time of year the tournament will be fishing on the Harris chain, what would they be?
Just before the new moon.
So we're talking 6, 7, or 5, 6, 7 December this year, 2023, on Lake Harris. What would be your top 3 bait?
Well, I mean, we kind of touched on that.
Okay, the new moon's on the 12th. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
the new moon's on 12th. 3 days before that is what? The 9th?
Yeah.
Those are going to be some good, like Bobby said, pre-fish is pretty much nothing. But as you start getting that closer to that new moon, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, the 9th,
the 6 to the 9, like I said, the 6 to the 9, I like your chances doing what you guys are strong at doing.
Yes.
But as you get close, if this tournament progressed toward, the closer you get to the 12, the closer you get to the 11 or 12, you better start utilizing a lot more stuff that goes to the bottom. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes, absolutely. You guys, when I fished that tournament in August, Bobby and I just kind of called him up and talked to him. He goes, I'd be throwing a Cinco. And what he's saying is, as that tournament progresses to the 9th, you guys are going to be able to fish your strong stuff.
Go for it. All or nothing.
Yep. And now it sounds like you kids like to punch.
Yeah. Yes.
So as far as I'm concerned, punching, that's the beauty of punching. And the last 2 years that I was in California, I fished 33 tournaments. I was talking to a guy and he told me this because he's one of them guys that just kept track of everything I did. Anyway, and I was talking to him like 2 years ago. And I said, yeah, right before I left California, I was rolling, man. I was killing. I said, out of the last 30 tournaments I fished, I said, I think I won 13 of them. He goes, you won out of your last 33 tournaments, you won 14. I went, who pays attention to that stuff? He goes, I do. So anyway, but the way that I did that was exactly what we're talking about. Playing with the moons, playing with my bait selection, when to put the frog in the rod locker, when to have the frog on the deck. Very key. Positive moons, frogs on the deck. Bad moons, frogs in the rod locker. I can't even look at that thing. That frog will own me if I have 1 4-pounder try to eat that thing and she doesn't eat it. I will try to make another one eat it. And next thing you know, it's 2 o'clock and I've blown this tournament. So, and we've all been there. We've all done that. So It's just for your thing, it's a top, middle, bottom thing. You cannot have a whopper, plopper, a buzzbait, and a frog on the deck. You have 1 topwater bait on the deck. You have 1 mid-range bait on the deck. You have 1 bottom bumping bait on the deck. Maybe you have other things that complement those particular baits in the rod locker. But I'm going top, middle, bottom. If they're going to eat a frog, they're going to eat a buzzbait because of the activity level of that day. Frog more specific at key shorter strike zones, very specific. Buzzbait, just trying to get a feel for things. So finding fish, that kind of stuff. But if you don't have a positive moon phase, you ain't gonna find anything about the buzzbait. All you're gonna do is find that thing needs to get cut off and something else needs to get put on that rod.
Okay,
But then
we're down to 4 minutes. We got 4 minutes left. Okay, just want to let you know.
okay. But just top, middle, bottom. Stick with your Cinco type. When I say Cinco type, your Cinco could be your drop shot. I love the Cinco. The Cinco's the greatest bait ever invented. But the Cinco, the jig, I like the jig because I can fish. It's like the jig is I use the Cinco because I'm not sure where they're at. But once I get clued in, that point of reeds, that point of hydrilla, that clearing in the hydrilla, I know that's where they're at. Then that Cinco gets put down. Now I got a jig because I can fish faster with a big fish bait because I know where the Cinco fish are. If it's a front, come through and everybody's sluggish and the jig's falling, I don't need to put a 3/8 jig on a half ounce jig, a 1/4 ounce. No, it's a half ounce jig. It's a 6-inch Cinco, and we're going fishing. The drop shot allows me to fish even faster and more efficiently than the jig. The drop shot is the greatest technique on the planet.
I stand by that.
For big fish and for just straight up winning.
Can you tell Jason?
It is the drop shots. The drop shots the great. I think after from Valentine's Day until July 1st, you can win any tournament in the country with a drop shot if you are on the right bank. It does not matter. You can win every single turn. It's the greatest technique. That's why Aaron went back there and just kicked everybody's teeth down their throat.
Yep.
Fantastic for the drop shot.
The worst thing, the thing that he should have just stayed with it all the time, but he wanted to show his versatility.
Yeah. If you just look at the last 2 Bassmaster Opens, I think I'm seeing, drop shots everywhere.
The drop shot. Go try and win a smallmouth tournament without a drop shot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
The only way to win
It's a different
6-pound
species.
averages with the drop shot. It's the greatest. It's the greatest technique ever.
We got a minute and a half left. Any other questions, guys?
No, we are all good this side, and just wanted to say thank you very much for your time, both of you guys.
Thank you, Mr. Barrack. Thank you, Mr. Taylor.
Oh, absolutely. I wish you boys nothing but the best, and make your country proud.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Bobby, thanks. I appreciate it. Calvin, Jason, we continue the quest, the countdown to the championship in December. Okay, over and out, everybody.
Okay, just remember, your bite's going to get stronger as the days go by in that tournament. You guys, you're going to be fire breathing dragons by the time the last day shows up on that thing.
You got that right.
Awesome.
There you go.
Awesome. All right, everybody.
Passed away.
We'll talk to you soon. Remember, you're just passed away.